everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina, and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. As you see by the title, I have my very first 2023 St. Patrick's Day DIYs for you, all with a crafter squares fabric, and not different types of fabric. This one in particular, as you see here in the title. Now, I am super excited. If you are new here, I hope you stick around by hitting that big red subscribe button. And with all that being said, let's art today. For my first DIY, I want to make a St. Patrick's Day wreath for my front door. I am using Dollar Tree's 14-inch wire wreath form and some of this green tulle. Now, I've had this green tulle for many years, but I do know that Dollar Tree carries something similar, but just a little bit shorter. I am cutting my tulle down into these really long strips. They're about 2 to 3 inches wide, but I suggest making them a little bit wider, maybe even 4 to 5 inches wide, because it will cover more of the wreath form. After I got a couple of them cut out, I will fold the tulle in half and then cut that down in half. After I have a little pile to the side, I did do the exact same thing using my orange tulle. Once again, I've had this tulle on hand for quite some time, but Dollar Tree does carry something similar. I will cut it into strips, then fold the strips in half, and then cut those down to size as well. After I have everything piled out to my liking, it is now time to add the tulle to my wreath form. After I have everything ready, I took some of the green strips, folded it in half, and made a little loop at the top. After I made the loop at the top, I fed the tails of the loop in the middle of the loop and pulled it through to create a little knot on the edge of the wreath form, as you see here. I hope that helps. I know it's a little bit confusing. This took me a little while to get the hang of it, and this does take quite some time, so I suggest putting on some music or a nice movie to watch while you're doing it. Here's how it looks after I made a little section completely full, and then I will continue filling it until it is completely full all around the edges. This is what my wreath form looks like after I was completely done with my green tulle, and now I'm doing the same exact thing using my orange tulle, but on the next section of the wreath form, and then I will continue that until it is completely full. Now that it is completely full, I realized it was a little bit too long and I couldn't see the green tulle behind it. So all I'm doing here, I know you can't really see it, is taking a sharp pair of scissors and cutting down the orange tulle until my liking. Now at first I cut it down way too short, so I do go back and fix that. However, I will continue cutting it until I get everything nice and even. Once I was done, I then went on to the next section. So I did skip a bar and then started filling up the wreath form once again using my green tulle. Here's how my wreath looks after everything was completely full. Now I did leave a little section over to the side, as you see, blank, because I am going to fill that later. And as you see where I was pointing at, I did skip a section of the wreath form because I am going to fill that up using Crafter Squares fabric. As you see here from the title, this is what I'm using on all of my DIYs today. Now I did cut down little strips like I did before, but instead of making a little loop like I did with the other ones, I'm just tying a little knot and then pulling it back out so that all you see are the little ends in this section. Now I don't make it as tight as the tulle areas, but I do put about 4 in each one of those sections on the wreath form until it was completely done to my liking. This is what the wreath looks like after I was completely done, and I absolutely love it. Now to hide that little hole right there, I have a Dollar Tree's wooden heart that I just painted completely white and then added black stripes on top of it, and I'm just using hot glue to adhere it down to the wreath form. And then on top of that, I'm using this Happy St. Patrick's Day sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm using my hot glue to place it right on top of the heart, and that completes this DIY. For my next DIY, I wanted to make a 3-leaf clover sign, and I purchased this from Dollar Tree, and I think I purchased it last year and still had it on hand. Now, I was going to cut off the little string that comes at the top, but I decided to keep it because I will use it later. After I pushed it through the holes, I am then taking my spatula and I'm going to put it underneath those little hearts on the sign itself. Now, this does take a little patience, and if you have a heating gun, I'm pretty sure heating up the little wooden area would make this go a little faster. I couldn't find mine. I think it's still packed up, but I pried it up with my spatula and I continued this until all 3 hearts were off the sign. I did rip one of the hearts, but not to worry, I do cover it later so you won't be able to tell. Now, I am going to turn around that 3-leaf clover because there was still some glue left over on the front of it. So now the back is my new front. I will then paint it using my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Irish Green. I really love this color. It's so fun and so bright. I will place that to the side until it dries completely. As that is drying, I will now work on the hearts, and I am going to cover it using my Crafter Squares fabric in this checkered pattern that I absolutely love. I'm placing the hearts onto the fabric so I know exactly where to cut the fabric so that it is nice and even and there's not that much waste. I did only have to use 1 roll of this Crafter Square fabric for all 4 DIYs, and I still have some left over for other projects in the future. To attach the fabric onto the wooden hearts, I'm just using my Mod Podge. Now, mine is satin, but I'm pretty sure you can use whichever Mod Podge that you have on hand to attach the fabric down to the wooden hearts. After I got a nice thick layer, I push the heart into the fabric and pull the fabric just a little so that I could get most of the air bubbles out. Once again, I'm rubbing it all the way down so that it can attach to the wooden heart. Add another layer of Mod Podge right on top of the fabric so everything is sealed nicely. After that had time to completely dry, I then took a pair of scissors and cut out the fabric as close as I can to the wooden heart. Now, you can also use an X-Acto knife if you need to, so you can get as close as you can, but I used my pair of scissors. It worked just fine. Now that everything had time to completely dry and is cut out, I am going to attach everything back together. I was just showing you how the wood grain came through the paint and I absolutely loved how it looked. Now I am attaching the hearts back onto the 3-leaf clover just using some hot glue and my Gorilla Glue sticks. Now, I thought my sign was a little bit plain, so I went through some of my crafting stash and I have this welcome sign. Once again, I purchased that from Dollar Tree as well, and I wanted to use these metal flakes that I purchased from Dollar Tree. It's in their plus section. It is $3, and I wasn't really too sure on how to use this, and I didn't really look up any videos on how to, so I just took a glue stick and I added it to the galvanized word, starting with the letter E, and I place a lot of glue on top. Next, I will then add some flakes right on top of the glue and then press down so that the flakes can adhere to the letter. Then I will take a paintbrush and remove some of the excess metal flakes from the outer edges. I did also use my finger to get really close to the edges so that it has a smooth finish. Now, like I said, I wasn't too sure on how to use this, so I also did use some Mod Podge on the M to see if maybe it will work a little better or adhere down nicely than the glue stick. So that's what I'm doing here. I add a little bit of Mod Podge and then I'm adding those golden flakes right on top, pushing it down so that it can adhere to the glue. Once again, I will then take my paintbrush and remove some of the excess, also pulling some of the excess off using my finger. Ultimately, I like the glue stick method better, so that's what I'm doing. I will completely cover the welcome sign. Now, as I was using the paintbrush to remove some of the excess, I noticed some of it was still coming off, but I kind of like that look, so I stayed with it. After that had a little bit of time to dry, I want to attach it to the middle of my sign, and I'm just using my hot glue gun and my Gorilla Glue sticks, adding it to the back of it and then pressing it down onto the sign. Now I also wanted to add that little string right back onto the top of it, but I wanted to add some of these green beads to it, so I added 5. I added 3 big ones and 2 smaller ones, added it back into the holes, and that completes this DIY. Moving right into our next DIY, I picked up one of these Decor packages of 8 of their 3-leaf clovers. They have 2 different patterns and 4 of each one of the patterns, which I thought were really cute. I am going to use 2 of each pattern to make my own freestanding sign. Once again, I am using Crafter Square fabric in this checkered pattern that I really love. I am going to cut out little squares, once again trying to get as close as I can to the pattern so I don't waste any, and I will do that for all 4 of those 3-leaf clovers. Now, to attach the fabric, I am using the back of those 3-leaf clovers that I had from the package, and I am using some Mod Podge. Now, my Mod Podge is satin. I'm pretty sure any Mod Podge that you have on hand would work perfectly for this project. Now, I'm just pushing down firmly as I place the fabric right on top of the 3-leaf clover so that all the air bubbles are out, and then I will add another layer right on top of that so it can seal it down to the 3-leaf clover. To help my sign stand up, I am using a painter stick from Lowe's, I believe I bought it, and I am painting it with my Irish green color in my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint. After my 3-leaf clovers were completely dry, I am taking a pair of scissors and I'm cutting off the excess fabric all around the edges, trying to get as close as the 3-leaf clover as I can. Once again, you can use an X-Acto knife if you feel more comfortable that way. After I was done cutting them out, it was now time to attach them down to the painter stick that I painted earlier as their stand. Now I'm just using my hot glue gun once again with a Gorilla Glue stick to hold everything down nicely, and I'm gluing part of the stem and one of the petals to the painter stick. I am trying to go in a pattern where I use the pattern it came with and then the fabric pattern side back and forth. So I have a green one, then the fabric, then the white one, and then the fabric. Once again, I'm attaching everything using my hot glue gun. So I wanted to add a word onto the front of these 3-leaf clovers, so I took some poster stickers and put them down onto some poster paper and then cut them down so that I can spell luck. Now I was going to spell out lucky, but I decided just to do luck since I wanted to keep this a little bit shorter, and then I'm just attaching them using my hot glue once again down onto the 3-leaf clovers. The very last thing for this sign I wanted to do was add little feet to the bottom of it. I have some of these orange beads in my crafter stash and I'm hot gluing it to the bottom of the painter stick. The best part about this sign is that it's double-sided, so you will see here shortly, but that completes this DIY. For my final DIY of the day, I want to make over this little wooden cutout of a gnome that I purchased from Dollar Tree. Now Dollar Tree has been really stepping it up with their wooden cutouts. They have so many different and new designs this year that I absolutely love and can't wait to use them. But for this DIY, I am using the same fabric that I've used throughout the whole video, and once again I'm using my Mod Podge method. I'm adding a layer of Mod Podge onto the wooden wooden piece. Then I will add on my fabric, push out any air bubbles, and then add another layer of Mod Podge to seal it. I then cut as closely as I can after it has time to completely dry so that it has the shape of the hat as you see here. Now it's time to paint my little gnome friend here so that we can give him a little bit of character. I first start off with his shoes. I'm going in with my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Irish Green. I really love this color and I think it's perfect for St. Patrick's Day DIYs. Next, I'm going in with my Castle color in the same Folk Art Home Decor chalk paints, and I'm adding it all over his beard. To give it more of a hair-like texture, I'm using some Java paint, which is like a brown color, and I'm adding it right on top of the wet paint to create those strokes so it looks like hair. And then on top of that, I'm adding some sheepskin color just to highlight some of the hairs. I watered down some brown paint and added it to his nose so it acts more like a stain rather than paint. For the gnome, I wanted to give him some gloves, so I took a green Posca paint marker and added a little glove-like hands to the top of his beard. Then I glued on a little coin from Dollar Tree, and now I'm adding 3 little foam hearts that I painted green onto his hat. I will then take my green Posca paint marker to add the stem to the little 3-leaf clover. The next thing I like to do is outline everything in my black Posca paint marker. I first started outlining the hat, and then I do add another line on top of the brim just so that it has dimension. I do fill that in with black paint, and then I finish outlining the rest of the gnome. Then after that, I do add a white Posca paint marker to add the highlights. Once that had time to completely dry and finish, I then added one of these Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree to the back of it to act like a stand, and that completes this DIY. Once again, here is a quick overview of all the DIYs that were in today's video. I really had a blast making these. Like I mentioned before, I use that checkered roll with all of these projects, and I still have a little left over, which is so cool and exciting that I got so many projects out of one roll. If you enjoyed today's video as much as I did created them, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. If you are new here, I hope you stick around by hitting that big red subscribe button down below. But don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you when I upload a new video. Plus, I would love for you to be part of my virtual art family. If you can, leave me a message down below to let me know which one of these DIYs was your absolute favorite. I also need your help, friends. If you can help me name my little gnome here, I love giving my gnomes names on my channel. So if you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comment section below. I will also put it in the community tab with a little poll to see which one was your favorite so I can name my little gnome friend here. Thank you once again for taking the time to watch today's video. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and as always, I will see you in the next one.